we're trying to pick up more contracts and less War Decs. But right now we are spending something like I believe like 20 in a week or something.
Okay.
But 20 in a week for the people who don't do who do not engage any PvE activity, it's a hard.
I just had a friend ask me a question on my other discords. I don't know if this idea has been discussed at all. I'm new to this one. Going back to taxes carrying over to corps, thinking about how bills are used in a corp or even alliance. Did anyone ever discuss or thought about like providing? I mean, if it costs 50 mil for a week worth of decks, is there any way we could maybe make an arbitrary price based on a monthly cost for someone to pay to not be deckable?
Well, I mean, we have talked about that. I know it was brought up of the idea that since the whole concept of War Decks is the aggressor is bribing Concord to look the other way, well, why can't the defender bribe Concord to look the other way again? um, and I think, but part of the design, at least the idea, since this is the pro War Deck view of it, I think Alaric and the other guys that are involved in this, they want to be able to extort these guys, so they want to be able to say, hey. Uh, we war decked you, but if you don't want us to fight, give us X amount of money and we'll stop the war. They want that to be a viable play style, and I think that's kind of the way that it is. And I think that's kind of in my philosophy. I'd rather have that be the thing than paying Concord to turn it off, because I think that just creates another is sync where at least in the other way it's kind of more fun.
Well, I'm
But I
thinking
guess it's not
more.
as much fun for the defender, I suppose.
Well,
So.
I was thinking more or less of a corporate alliance that has no structures, and us still and it being changed to still having the option to war deck them. Why couldn't it be implemented that they could pay a fee instead if they own no structures
I
to
mean, I
not
think
be
you're right.
deckable?
Yeah, I think that's probably something that CCP will look at. So I'll put that on the list to at least bring.
Yeah, but the thing is, with the fee is if you're having good money or something, you just can pay the protection money and that's it. I think this fee should be really big one. So unless you are having really good business and you do not want to mess with the wars, you will not be able to pay it because if the fee gonna be like 50 mils a week, pff, where I can pay for the whole year.
I don't know. I'd start with $1 billion a month personally.
Well, and just
But
scale it off the cost of a war deck for the corporation. So if you were going to pay a piece fee and it costs 50 mil to deck your corporation, you'd have to pay 10 times that a week to stay like undeckable or whatever. Like, and if you grow your corporation to be 500 million, it's still 10 times that. So 5 bill a week to be undeckable.
So
To
I
Soul's
guess
point about asking about formalized aggression, I think one of the other goals I think of the system needs to be, in terms of like red versus blue situations like that, where it's legitimately mutual, a lot of this stuff should just go away, and there should be an easy way to, if you want to set mutual wars, they're under the old system. We don't have to worry about any of that kind of stuff. I think that's probably the best way to do it if we can, um, and that's what I'm going to push so that we don't take away that play style. Go ahead, Yates. I'm sorry I cut you off.
so on the previous thing where it scaled higher for the larger the defending corp would get for negating wars. I guess the comment that's going to come from the anti-war deck side is going to be why is their preferred content cost more than yours? So why would wars stay for you at 50 mil when for them costs significantly more not to be at war?
Because it's a PvP game.
It's a sandbox game. PvP is a
Well,
component to the sandbox.
Well, I think the
and
question then again is going to be one of risk versus reward. If you want to take away all the risk, that costs money. I
yeah,
think that
and
that would be the argument.
and I would agree with the first guy. So I mean, does it matter if you're mining, running missions, doing market activity? Eventually, at the end of the day, it all essentially comes down to competition with other players, corps, alliance. Eve is a PvP game.
And I agree with that. At the same time, I think there's room for every play style, and that's something I think CCP wants to keep in mind. I mean, look, at the end of the day, this is a game, but it's also their way to make money. So they want to make sure that people are playing it. And if there are play styles to cater to that get people to play the game and sub, then they're going to want to at least potentially put that in there. So there are going to be situations where some of these guys are going to they don't want to PvPs and as foreign as a concept that is to me and to many people, it does exist, and I've heard it more than once. So there's going to be a group out there that's looking for that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We need a new trailer for Eve.
Yeah,
Something internet spaceship series.
Be bored with us. Go mining. It's fun. We'll give you something to do while you're watching Netflix.
okay, I got a quick question which I'll flip. I'm going to switch sides for a second.
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Okay, with structures, now I've done this from both sides of the equation, so defender and aggressor. So structures are crap. And this is all, most wars comes down to defending a structure. And you have a 1-man, 2-man corp. Maybe they can't afford mercs. Well, just as a general thing to everybody here, just very quickly, how do you guys feel about upping the DPS from structures?
I think the problem with that, is if we balance the structures based on potential issues in high sector with smaller groups, that's going to have a cascading effect everywhere. And I know that at least in nullsec, the one thing we hear more than anything is let's get rid of structures. There's too many structures. Structure spam's a problem. Let's lift the damage caps. Let's reduce the amount the timers so we can clear stuff out faster. That type of stuff. So I think it's hard. It would be hard to do something just for high sector for the two small man groups. It doesn't have an impact down the road. But
there was that one.
There's one way around it, possibly.
Okay.
Maybe having a rig which is only attachable in high sec. That gives a percentage boost to DPS and whatever else. That would probably be a solution.
Or I know about the proponents that were against it being in the game, period. At one point, I know there was a module that CCP had stated that they might only make high sec. I don't remember if it's called GTF or what, but it was basically an item to where you could pinpoint a small group of people that were on grid and send them to some random spot in the system.
Yeah, that's Keep Stars have that now, and also.
Guys, the problem is that from one side it's really interesting, but from other side, the idea about protecting like smaller group of people sounds to me like you're trying to protect the weakest person in school from being his butt kicked by someone else. But the problem is that you're telling to this guy, hey man, get some friends. And he said, I don't want to. Okay, go and study martial arts. And he's saying that I don't want to. When you're saying to him like, I don't know, go to police. And he's saying, I don't want to. Go to talk to your parents. I don't want to. And you still are trying to save him. The point is that really, it makes me a little bit angry because the point is, right now, if you are a small group, you being War Dec, you can, like option number one, you can join the bigger alliances and have their protection. Option number two, you can go to NPC Corp. Option number three, you can go to Corp with no structures. Option number four, you can communicate with some mercs and ask them to defend your structure. Option number five, you can talk to the attacker and have like your disputes, your problems solved with the attacker. You have many options, and you right now want to create option number 8, number 10, number 12, number 11, blah 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 till I don't know, option number.
I think that's look. I think that's fair. I mean, I think that's a fair criticism.
Because right now you can easily avoid any wars in high sec area. But the thing is that you are still trying to create more and more and more and more options. That's it.
Well, for me, I'm not trying to create options per se. For the type of person that says, I don't care or I don't want to, that type of person, shoot him, gank him, knock him out of the game. I don't care. I don't like that type of person in our community anyway, because they don't want to put in effort for things. But
exactly
for those people that actually want to engage and defend and actually be on grid, whether they're going up as an underdog against pirate or something. Those are the type